Hello everyone, and welcome to my bedroom. I thought I'd use this moment of intimacy to share a little secret with you. I am really bad at overhangs. But 2 weeks ago, I thought, hey, you know what? I think I'll try my hand at an overhang climb. So I decided to go for what seemed like a super easy overhang climb because it was just straight jug all the way through. So suffice to say, I did not send it. I actually fell off. Not 5 seconds later, a guy walked up to the wall, problem right next to mine, and just like flashed a V11. After I saw that, I was like, yeah, I should practice overhang. So what I did is I went home and I watched a Manny the Monkey YouTube video where he explains the proper techniques that beginners should start to learn if they want to do overhangs. The TLDR of the video is 1, you want to keep your center of balance really close to the wall. He did mention that beginners do climb overhangs with their ass hanging out, which kind of shows that they're not using their abs as much as they should be using them. The next point he made is try to put as much weight on your feet so that you relieve the weight that your hands have to carry. He's saying that if you use your feet in a clever way, you'll be able to take some of the load off of your fingers and your hands and your arms. So I made a little mental note, don't ignore your feet. Toe down really hard on those footholds, as hard as you can toe down, my guy. Another point, shift the weight to your strongest muscles. And do this by keeping your arms straight and by twisting a lot. Shift most of the weight onto muscles that are stronger. So after watching that video, I headed to my gym one rainy day in LA, trying to keep all this technique stuff in mind. What I first did is I returned to that white V3 that I fell off earlier. And the V3 is located on this feature in my gym called the barrel. And this is an area that usually has like one V3, one V4, and then the rest is just like V5 to V12, making it a pretty intimidating place for me to climb. So that might be one of the reasons why I never climbed there. This is a dramatic reimagining of the time that I fell off the V3. I remember that my feet were super sloppy during this climb. I was wobbling all over the place, not even engaged. And the part that I fell off was kind of this move where I had to commit and reach to a jug that was a little farther than I wanted it to be. I can imagine that I was not engaging my abs at all as I was going for this jug, and as such, didn't fully commit, and I just fell right off. Then someone climbed V11 right next to me. But I did redeem myself on this bad boy. So I cleaned up my footwork by toeing down on anything that I possibly could, and I felt way more stable as a result. In the slow-mo, you can actually see how this toe kind of pulls my center of gravity closer to the wall. On the next move, it was slightly reachy, and so I tried to catch it by holding my arms as straight as possible, twisting my body to engage my stronger lat muscles. Pull only at the last second to hit that hold, so I'm bending my arms at the very last second when I need them the most. So the move that used to be challenging for me became a lot easier once I sucked in my abs and kind of just committed. I honestly think I could have engaged the core a little more because in the side view, you can see my bum kind of hanging out, but I hit the move, so whatever. The rest of the climb was pretty straightforward because it wasn't overhung, and I just did a lot of flagging to get all the way to the top. So I got pretty confident after that send, and I decided to try a V4 next. And honestly, in the beginning of the climb, I'm liking how straight my arms are, but a lot of my problems actually come from moves that are more dynamic. And so what happens is I reach with my arms while my body is like falling down, instead of all the parts of my body being on the same team and working together to move in the same direction in the same motion. Also, I don't know what it's called when you like grab a hold and you kind of like dun dun dun, like you don't hit it right away, you kind of just have to like shimmy into it. I feel like most of the strongest climbers that I see don't do that, but I don't know if there's anything necessarily wrong with it. just when I see it, when I do it, I feel kind of gross. I feel like I want to clean it up a little bit. I don't know, it's just like a side thing that I was thinking of. So this part is cool because I actually cut my feet on this move every single time I try the climb this day. I was able to rescue it here, but cutting feet is not super ideal because it indicates that you might not be engaging your feet and you might not be engaging your core. So I tried this climb a couple of times, and this is the general play-by-play. I would climb it decently until I got to this first kind of like dynamic move, and then my feet would cut very dramatically, and I'd rescue it. I would try to flag my left foot way out and then reach for the high hold on the right, which was angled kind of like awkwardly for me to the side. And most of the time I wouldn't even hit that hold. And this is the farthest that I got until today. So definitely stick to the end of this video if you want to see the full character arc over these past couple of weeks. Like I said, this is the farthest that I got, and up here it was for sure like a mental thing that I couldn't overcome because I was kind of high up, a little scared. I didn't want to commit to anything, so I intentionally bailed. Whatever. Next, I moved to the 45-degree wall, which I also never really climb. Here you can see Martin hopping on a V4, which I thought I'd include because I think Martin climbs really efficiently and his footwork is always really clever and intentional. I got on a different V4, but to be honest, I was feeling a little toasty because at this point I wasn't climbing too many overhangs, and doing overhangs a bunch is like a one-way ticket to Pump Town. So between that session and today, I've made it a point every single time that I go to the bouldering gym to end my session on an overhang problem. Whether it be a V2, a V3, or like halfway up a V4, I made it a point every single time I go to the gym to be sore the next day because I'm finishing on an overhang that I pump myself on. When I went to the gym today, quite literally like half an hour ago, I thought I would do the same, and I had like an hour and a half long session, and I thought, hey, why don't I try that green V4 that I couldn't get that one rainy day? So I started to climb and I made Martin film me on my iPhone. It's really cool because the part that I used to cut both feet in, I was able to hold everything together this time and keep my left toe like really digging in there. I was able to hit that low probability move, and then I did a little bit of shimmying as I was figuring out what to do with my legs. I went for classic counterbalancy flags until I got to the top and sent it. Maybe my first overhung V4, I'm not sure, but I mean, it felt pretty good after I did it because I got it on my first attempt this day, and it was after an entire session of doing some pretty difficult climbs, so I was very pleased with how I did today. After comparing the clips where I don't fully commit and comparing the clips from today where I do commit, you can actually tell that there's a difference in body positioning from 2 weeks ago and today. So here's a snapshot of the same move on different days, where on the left, I am not committing fully because I don't believe in myself, but also because my hips are not moving in the same direction as my arms are. And on the right, you can see that my hips are a little bit higher up on the wall. They're a little bit more engaged with my body and more in line. And that translated to a very powerful reach over onto the far hold, and it eventually translated into me sticking it. So hopefully this gives you a little bit of motivation to try climbing in types of climbing styles that make you uncomfortable, because I think that climbing so much on the overhang actually made me stronger in a lot of other climbs that weren't necessarily overhung. But I'm curious, let me know your thoughts on overhangs, whether or not they're your bread and butter, whether you love them and you hate slab, because I'm kind of curious. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Thank you.